found my niche in business aviation. I think the people, all the different services that it takes to make business aviation run. The airplanes, you can't beat it. You can't beat the airplanes, the technology that goes into it, the performance, the cool factor, you can't beat it. But it's also the people. That's probably what kept me around more than anything. Is it just the community of business aviation?
For sure. And I like how you mentioned too, LinkedIn. I cannot emphasize that enough. That is a huge networking product service that just you need to take advantage of it. Hello and welcome to the Business Aviation Collective podcast sponsored by LD Aviation. Today we get a chance to talk to Lee Brewster. And Lee has been in the aviation industry for quite some time, and you all probably know her. She's with Thoroughbred Aviation currently, and she's their vice president. But she also is part of the TCC. She's on their committee. We're going to talk about that as well as the Texas Women's University. She's on the advisory committee there. She's been on the original. She's the OG top 40 under 40, so that's cool. We're going to hear about that. As well as she is part of the NBAA Maintenance Committee. Welcome, Lee.
Oh, thank you, Lindsay. I'm excited to be on your podcast and really kind of honored and a little humbled to be on here. I've heard some of your past guests, so thank you for including.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you're on with us as well. You and I, we've known each other for many years in the aviation industry, and I got a chance to talk with you on your podcast, which I hope to hear about in a little bit. But I start off my podcast because this is something that's important to me, and it's always been really interesting to me is how did we all get into the aviation industry? So Lee, could you tell us, how did you get here?
So I got here by accident, which I would say maybe about 50% of people in aviation seem to have gotten here by accident.
Yeah.
So in 2000, I was a young little newlywed, and my husband moved me up to Fort Worth for his job, and the plan was for me to go back to school so I could finish up school, do all that good stuff. And while he was working, and it was because, didn't need to go back to school and I needed a job. So I went back to school at Tarrant County College at TCC, and I got a job as a student worker there. And it just happened to be in their aviation maintenance program. And so I went there and I actually worked in the library. And so I was helping students go through manuals, and I was filing microfiche for hours and hours. That was one of my primary jobs. So those of you that don't know what microfiche is, you're very fortunate.
I know. I was going to say, I wonder if the kids even know what that is.
Google it. There's probably a YouTube video when you look back in the 1900s. There's a microfiche. But yeah, the early days of research. But I started there, and that became a full-time job. And so I was actually working with the aviation and the railroad programs. And in 2003, late 2002, early 2003, I started work on the National Science Foundation project, that became NCAP. And so that was really when I started getting involved with the industry as a whole. And NCAP was the National Center for Aircraft Technician Training. And it was an industry initiative to start creating standards and certifications, industry standards and certifications. So, there's no authority given, no return to service. This was just a way to start defining certifications and different skills within aviation, initially with avionics, because there was nothing for the avionics techs. Get the FCC license, but, it's different. It wasn't necessarily that. So I started with that. So we started that in 2000, like I said, late 2002, early 2003. And just a couple of years ago, the certifications are now recognized as an alternate means of compliance in Part 145 repair stations. So they're now part of, it's pretty exciting when you see it. ASTM International now manages it and manages the certifications. Now the committee is kind of known as F46. So if you look at the aerospace personnel standards that ASTM has, that is where they came from.
Okay.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people working extremely diligent over the years to kind of identify this and not wait for the FAA to do something else about it. But, it's airframe and power plant was, but that's how I got involved in it. I learned lots of really big words. I learned how to use them right most of the time. I always said if I'd known that I was still going to be doing this so many years later, I would have at least gotten like one of my licenses. But by the time I realized I really wanted to do this, I was traveling too much to go through a traditional A&P program. So I did that, and that had me working directly with the industry, doing a lot of facilitating, listening. I mean, when you can have, they were consensus standards. So you're sitting there with a whole room full of avionics subject matter experts from across the entire spectrum, every branch of the military, OEMs, repair stations, the airlines. And, when you're able to get a consensus standard between them all, you've done something pretty special. So I'm very, very proud of that.
You're kind of listening to all these different parties and all their different views on what that should be and consolidating that all into one sentence, paragraph, etc.
Well, right. Exactly. So, I mean, it was finding like what were all of the knowledge and skills that were required for, we'll just say an avionics technician, and what were all the knowledge and skills, and then organizing that, packaging it, and then figuring out how to assemble it in a way that, one, you could assess for the certification, but then also provide to educational institutions so they could train. So how do you bridge that? And, one of the things is everything's important. You just got to find a place for it. Mm-hmm. It may not be the core, but it could fit in different areas. And so, it was a lot of figuring it out, and, did that off and on. Also was a student advisor. So I stopped to talk to students for the maintenance program and then eventually the flight program. I had to make a decision if I was going to stay in academia or stay in aviation. And obviously I chose aviation. And so that took me to flight safety. Okay. I worked there for a few years, loved flight safety. Some people think I worked at flight safety for a very long time, but I really didn't work from that as long as people think. But up at the DFW Center, and, that was just more exposure into business aviation. At the DFW Center, it was all Falcons. We were there for the entry into service for the PC-24. So I helped with all of the maintenance training for that. The mid-cabin Gulfstreams and the legacy large cabin, we did all of that, as well as Honeywell engines, avionics, Pratt Whitney. There's a little bit of everything. So you got exposed to a lot of really great people. One thing, it was everything from, the 8X was just being introduced to the people who were using the PT6 and ag applications down in South America. So I could have a whole range of customers. And it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And then I had an opportunity got a call. Importance of your LinkedIn network is, next thing I knew, hey, what do you think about getting to the aviation software world? And I was like, well, I've never thought about the aviation software world. And we were like, that's okay. You know how to talk and listen to people, and you've got an extensive maintenance network and background. And so the next thing I know, now I'm learning operations and software, and did that for a few years with Flight Docs, which then became ATP. And, that was a whole new experience, which is a little funny because my first real job, I guess, way before we moved to Fort Worth, was actually working for an internet service provider and working in software and working in different things back when it was dial up and you were lucky if you got D24. Exactly. So that, and then almost 2 years ago now, it's like, hey, how about try something new? And now I got into the world of acquisitions with Thoroughbred. So it's all by happen chance. Somebody asked me the other day, how do I do what you do? It's like, don't take my route. If this is your end goal, you can definitely figure out a much better route to do that than what I did. But I could probably tell you how to do about 5 different things in aviation. We've done different things, but I like aviation as a whole, really kind of found my niche in business aviation. I think the people, all the different services that it takes to make business aviation run, the airplanes, I mean, you can't beat it there. You can't beat the airplanes, the technology that goes into it, the performance. I mean, the cool factor, you can't beat it. But it's also the people. That's probably what kept me around more than anything. Is it just the community of business aviation?
No, for sure. And I like how you mentioned too, LinkedIn. I cannot emphasize that enough. That is a huge networking product service that just, you need to take advantage of it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's changed the words, but it's your personal branding. It's how you present yourself. It's preparing you for your next job, your next career change, your next promotion, whatever you want to look at. It's it's a valuable resource. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, it exponentially builds that community in your network on what you want to do next.
Totally. Okay, so I have a question about, you did a lot of stuff in maintenance, in the maintenance world in the beginning. And first of all, I think aviation in general doesn't have a lot of women, and I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but there's not a lot of women in it. But I think there must be even less women in the maintenance side. In fact, I think I only know one maintenance manager that's a female, Christina, who's awesome. But did you find that same thing?
Yeah. So there's definitely underrepresented in aviation maintenance. There are definitely more. I'm pretty fortunate. I've been, the longer I've been doing it, the more females have been around women who are just, kicking ass, taking names. That's what they're doing. And they're phenomenal. Elaine Karabatsos, she's actually the director of maintenance for Boeing Executive Flight Ops. So she's been doing that. It's her second DOM position. Shannon Hodgkin, she's with you. Yeah, she was at Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that's
so there you go. That's where back in your old world over there.
Yes.
But there's a lot of women that are doing more, and there's younger women that are coming up. I don't know if there's necessarily the quantity that you'd like to see the quantity increase, but at the same time, I will say very excited about the quality of the women that are coming in, the young people that are coming in. They're making, they're doing a wonderful job. I mean, they're coming in from the military, or if they come in through the traditional routes, there's different ways that they get there. But I would say I'm very impressed with the quality of the women that are coming in and making maintenance their career path. So definitely, you can always work on the quantity. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition for the workforce. I mean, and especially with something that takes like aviation maintenance or even a flight program, it's different. You're looking for a certain type of person, certain skills, aptitude, different things. And those skills and aptitude are in a high demand across many, many industries. So,
okay.
But I will say I have been very impressed, and I'm very excited about the quality.
So you're saying that the competition for this type of job is not necessarily just aviation maintenance section. It's for the skills, an overall overarching skill that is looked for in many different industries.
Absolutely. I mean, male, female, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is a skill set that at one time, I think, some schools, depending on the school and your location, up towards the 50 to 60% of the students weren't actually entering aviation. They were finishing A&P schools, but they weren't actually entering aviation. So the skills are such a high demand, and there's such a finite pool of talent. So, you gotta get them, and then you gotta take care of them, and then you gotta develop them, and give them enough time to understand what makes this industry special and where they see their careers going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool. I wonder too, your pilot sometimes, which we talk about more often, I think, than maybe schedulers and maintenance department. We talk about the entry or the barriers to entry being a lot of times you might be the caregiver, the female might be the caregiver, that type of stuff. But that also applies to the maintenance section, right? Because again, it's not a 9-to-5 kind of job. It's still just like the rest of business aviation.
No, I would say that. But then I also think, though, that a lot of the same women that might be looking at the different careers, like somebody that they understand that. I mean, it's very similar to going to the medical field, which is predominantly women. Like you go into nursing and anything like that, it's going to be predominantly women. So I don't know if I would say that that's because you're kind of fighting for those same people, like those same people who may want to be like a nurse who are. There's a mindset that goes there. So you're kind of targeting the same people. So I think they kind of understand that, especially shift work, doing different things. Now, I will say, the pay has definitely gone up. Compensation's gone up on the maintenance side, which has been great. It's always hard to kind of tell people like, okay, let's say you get to go be a nurse, work the same hours, or you can go here, but you're going to make this much, twice as much as a nurse, and you will be doing something else. So, there's different things to consider when people are looking for careers. Now, granted, there's no way you would get me in a medical field. I don't do blood. I don't do bodily fluids. I don't do that stuff. Praise every person that does that. Right. That is not my world. I'm okay in an emergency, but unless it's emergency, it is not my world. So God bless all those people that do that. But so there's definitely, I think sometimes people are, you talk about it with the pilot. And when I was talking to pilot students about entering, sometimes maybe I'm too much of a realist. It's like, no, this is what it's going to be for a while. It's going to be hard. It's going to be lots of hours away from home. There's a lot of, but you put in the work and it'll be worth it. But your whole family has to make the decision. I mean, if you have a family and you're going into one of these fields, the whole family has to make that decision and the commitment because it impacts every one of you. And if one of you is not on board, either you're not going to be successful or it's going to be a detriment to your family. Those are big discussions to have, but the benefits and the payout and, like once again, kind of talk about that community. It's like the people kind of make it worthwhile.
Yep.
Make it where you're going.
Totally agree. So now you've kind of transitioned, I guess, out of maintenance, but not really. You're in acquisition.
Right.
I'm sure you use all of the pieces that you've learned throughout your career with acquisitions because owners have questions in every single department there, right? What's that like?
So, that was one of the things is when I first started, when Nathan approached me about this opportunity, it was like, okay, well, I haven't done this before. And he's like, well, maybe not technically, but I've been on the periphery of an acquisition in different forms or fashion through all of it, and maintenance is such a key piece. I mean, to have a technically sound, properly maintained and recorded aircraft is a key component to the transaction. So a lot of what I've done, it falls right in line. And then, so, in my job primarily now is like once we start, I call it like sales operations. They go find the sales, and then once we actually start an acquisition or our listing, we start the transaction with the listing. Then I start getting involved more. That's when when the actual transaction starts, and that's just project management. That's project management, vendor management, people management, as well as understanding the nuances of your asset. And that's been a lot of focus on what I've done for a lot of years is looking at the airplane as an asset. Safety first, always safety first. But then it's also looking at the aircraft as an asset and how do you maintain and enhance the value of this asset? As you're going through, how do you practice maintenance and how do you manage your flight department in a way that's going to maintain the value of this asset for whomever it is? Because you're going to sell it. Someday it will sell. And that could be because we hope it's not because your flight department's shutting down, but you never know. That we all know those flight departments that all of a sudden you hear, hey, they shut down the flight department. You're like, what? Right? Are you serious? That one? Sure. Really? No. Or your principal goes and flies on another plane and he likes that plane better and he wants this one.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to upgrade. I'm upgrading. Yeah. So is your airplane always ready? Because liquidity is a big part of the value. And so, those are all little things that I've had like I said, kind of been in the periphery of, but it's really just working with people, understanding the industry, understanding and managing the transaction process, keeping people happy, doing what you said, lots and lots and lots of over communication because you're the expert. And so you want to make sure that people are comfortable with that and see the value of what you bring to the table.
Sure. No surprises along the way, or at least as well communicated.
Manage surprises.
Yeah.
Manage surprises.
There we go.
I mean, yeah, the more the more when the surprise happens is you can actually, the more knowledge you have, the bigger your network is. When the surprise happens, you can usually have a resolution. I mean, you always disclose it, but you can usually disclose along with the resolution. How do you disclose with the resolution? And that's here, this has happened, but this is what we're going to do. This has happened, but this is what we're going to do. Or this has happened. Here's options 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes you don't get 3 options, but at least sometimes.
Right. Every part of aviation, I guess. Yeah. There's things that happen.
You do it
way.
Yeah. I mean, the whole job is still
closes or something. We're looking for different options, surprises.
Yep.
With getting surprises.
That's right.
I watch on LinkedIn and Facebook. Sometimes you guys will post a really cool picture of an airplane that you've delivered to an owner. That must be kind of fun. Do you get to go on any of those deliveries?
I haven't personally yet, but we've been I will say that when I started at Thoroughbred, they were very kind. I'm now officially an empty nester. So I started like right before my son's senior year, and they allowed me the opportunity to just really kind of soak all that in. So I traveled and I did some things, but really it was more about I got to stay home quite a bit. But now I'm an empty nester, so now I'm ready to go with the deliveries, see what we need to do. But usually one of us is there, so there'll be somebody. Usually the representative will be there. I know we got a couple of people on the road this week doing some different things. You go. It's a big event. I mean, no matter what the airplane is, it's still always a big event. And like you said, there's little surprises that can pop up along all the way to the very end. As soon as that airplane takes off and it's no longer yours, you're like, that's when you can breathe a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's so exciting. That's so fun. I got to ride on one delivery flight. Wasn't even a delivery flight. It was just the aircraft first bringing it home type of way. That was so cool. We got to push all the buttons, and that was
make sure everything worked. Yeah. No, I don't know if I'd want to touch all the buttons. I do get the reports though from Nathan after Nathan touches all the buttons and he measures things and he double checks things. Whenever anybody asks what exactly do you do, sometimes I'll send him his inspection reports and I'm like, this. And they're like, oh my gosh. Like, yeah, he's very, very thorough.
Yes.
Very, very thorough. There's a wrinkle there's the thoroughbred. Exactly. Exactly. And very, very, very much so. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see the people get excited about it. It's fun to, it's a big deal. Big deal with a lot of moving parts. Lots of moving parts.
Sure is. Well, let's switch gears just a little bit. And I want to talk about some of the advisory boards and some of the accolades that you've been given. You were part of the very first group who got top 40 under 40. So what was that like?
It was the weirdest feeling. It was a very, very, I'm very honored. Very, very honored. I kind of knew it was going on. I didn't know. You don't really know you've been nominated and you don't know who nominates you or what that process is like. You don't know unless somebody tells you. So then the next thing you know, you have this, and we had to laugh because it was just so, and granted, I've been very involved with MBAA since 2003. I know the people very well. People think I worked for MBAA. I've never worked for MBAA, but I've been very involved in the maintenance conference and lots of things for many years. So when you see your head, like, I don't know if you remember SDC for that. It was in San Antonio.
Yes, I think
San Antonio in 2018. And you go down the escalators. And when you went down the escalator, there was a banner. If y'all have never seen me, I'm not a very tall person. I swear my head was taller than me as I was going down. And I was just like, oh my Lord. I was like, oh my God. And then there's like these cutouts of you everywhere. And it was just like, it was overwhelming, very humbling.
I love seeing those cutouts. Those are so much fun when you watch them.
Cutouts are so fun. Yeah, we had they had them in Orlando for base, and I was working for Flight Docs at the time, and it's not very far from Fort Myers, Florida. So they actually took my cutout and took it back to the office. So my cutout was back at the office, and they took it. It was at our Christmas party, all that fun stuff.
That's awesome. You could decorate yourself with a.
I know. I was like, I thought they were going to use it for like target practice, see what they could throw at it. Every time Doug started to get a little frustrated with me, he could just launch like a dart at my head or something.
There you go.
Exactly. But no, it was really neat. It was like I said, it's an interesting group to be part of. This sounds a little funny, but like my husband told me a few years ago, he's like, you need to make sure you're making new friends, Lee, because all your friends are about to retire.
Because they're wondering.
And I was like, oh, they're
not riding 40 and they're not in that group.
No,
they're actually retiring.
They actually retiring. It's a lot of the people I was very involved with, many of them have retired now. And so, now I do make a concerted effort. And with the 40 under 40, I kind of have this like little built-in group of younger people because I aged out as soon as I got it. I was like, I aged out. I was like, okay. But but no, it was very humbling. It was a lot of fun, and it was neat. It was really neat.
That's so cool. That program seems to really have grown.
Oh yeah, and I mean you look at it though, and I mean kudos to the OPRO Council, because I don't know how you would only pick 40 people, because it's not just. I mean, there's all the different categories. I mean, there's so many exceptional people that are in this industry. I mean, you look at, I mean, for everyone that they name, I can name 3 more that I would say would be worthy. Mm-hmm. And so the process to go through that, I think is God bless them for what they do. 'Cause I can't imagine. I'd want to give it to everybody. I mean, right. They're all amazing. You're amazing. I was actually talking to them about that. I was like, even for the people who don't get it, it would probably be interesting for them to read their nomination letters, because the people that nominate you take so much time and effort to really, they're singing your praises in probably ways you've never even thought of. Mm-hmm. And to be able to, that would be very interesting for people to see that. So even if they didn't get it, there are these people that think this of you.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good idea, because I know I've sent in a couple nomination letters, but I never told the person. And so far I haven't nominated anybody who has won, but I would kind of like those people to know how extraordinary I think they are. And I'm sure you're not the only person.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've nominated a few people as well over the years. One of them got it. The other ones haven't. But at the same time, they're still just as special to me and as special to the industry, I believe, overall. So, I mean, I think there's something to be said for that. But yeah, no, it's a great group. I love watching what they do. Like I said, I aged out of YoPro like at the same time. Yeah. So now I'm just kind of one of those people that they call when they need something, which is, it's okay. I got other stuff going on.
That's right. Yep. Yes, that's okay. We can be a little bit older and not be part of a group, and that's okay.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Right. Still really like getting it all the time, but okay, I'll take it. Right. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm that person now. Oh Lord. They see you as the mom of the group. Okay. Yeah, okay. You got it. That's where I am. I'll take it. I love it. It's okay. Go.
That's right. Well, some of, I guess, the newer, more non-traditional things that you do include the Jet Blast podcast, which I got a chance to be on once. But tell us about that. Who do you host with? What do you guys talk about?
So the Jet Blast. We actually started right around COVID. It started probably, I think, actually that May. We finally started it. It's myself, Nathan Winkle, who's the founder of Thoroughbred and has since evolved into my boss. And then Andy Nixon, who's the founder of MRO Insider. And the whole purpose of Jet Blast was really just to talk about things we find interesting in aviation, not only the subjects, but also the people, primarily business aviation. Sometimes it tends to have more of a maintenance focus, but not. But really, it's just supposed to be open conversations, candid conversations. We don't, it was, some people were like, oh, yeah, that's just raw and real. And we're like, well, yeah, mainly because we don't know how to edit. We tried, we accidentally deleted it one time. Oh, no. So mainly it's because we don't know how to edit. And that's why you get such a raw, unfiltered version of what we have. But that's what we wanted it to be. And it's been an amazing journey. I mean, we've been on a bit of a hiatus, just kind of, just been on the road, coordinating 3 people's schedules along with the guest and trying to get everybody to where we can record it's been rough. Yeah. And so we have been on a little bit of a hiatus, but we're like, God, we gotta get back going here. And we probably will. We just need to kind of, I don't know, it'll probably, it has to stay the same. There's no way it can be very different than what we are, because we are who we are.
I love and
it is fun.
And I like your format too. So my format is usually one-on-one and stuff, but your format, you have 3 of you guys asking questions. Sometimes you have more than one guest, or is it usually just one?
Usually just the one. There's been a couple that we've had 2 guests. We were the Fireside when we had 2 guests.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Sarah and really cool guy who's in charge of like their operation.
Don?
Fireside.
Not.
No, it wasn't Don. It was the work
girl.
No,
oh, man.
I'll find his name. Right? But anyway, but it was, I think he had a military background and stuff like that, but it was Sarah, the 2 of them talking about it. And typically it's one guest, but every once in a while you get the 2. And there's some people who they're like, okay, what do I need to do to prepare? I'm like, not a whole lot of prep. We just want to chat. Just tell us if there's anything you don't want to talk about. But for the most part, it's just really, we just want to chat. And we've had the opportunity to really talk really kind of different people. I mean, like there wasn't like one single like topic, like this is only the maintenance. No, we talked operations, we've talked emergency, we've talked risk management. There's a lot of maintenance in there. We've just had a wide variety, and that's really what it focuses on. Really, are you an interesting person? Yeah. Then we really want to chat with you and see what you think.
That's so cool. Yep. So cool. Andy's really great too, that MRO Insider. They have a really neat company as well.
Oh, and it's just been growing leaps and bounds and doing different things. And, I love working with Andy, love watching the success of MRO Insider. Yeah. He has some of the same issues as everybody else. Is like, it's amazing. I was trying to tell somebody, they were asking me why aviation people don't want to change so much. And I said, well, in my opinion, I said, it's because you work with something that you like. Okay, if you're in maintenance, we'll just say maintenance, you cannot control what happens with that aircraft. So your what if, or when this is going to happen, when it hits the fan bucket has to be this big, because I know I'm not going to be able to control what's going on. So because I know that I'm not going to be able to control all of this, the little part that I can control, I'm going to keep it very controlled. And I know what's going to happen. I know exactly I know how to use this. Yes, it's not the easiest thing, but this I can control, because this 25% of my job I can control, because 75% of it is out of my hands. Mm-hmm. Whether it's going to be, whether it's an AOG, you never know what's going to happen. Crew change, it could be anything, but there's 75% of my job that I literally have no control over, that I'm purely reactional to. And so that 25% that I can control, whatever. And so Andy helps with that 75% that you can't control. So you still can't control it, but now you have an option to better manage it. And that's where you're going for.
Tools at your fingertips that you might not have that access.
People. Yeah. And transparency. You're not at the complete mercy of somebody. You have some transparency and options too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love his whole
it's great
company. Yep. Really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So tell me some more. Let's switch back kind of to some of your committees. Let's talk about, how about the MBAA Maintenance Committee?
Oh, well, I have to say I probably owe most of my career to the Maintenance Committee and my involvement in them. And so whenever people ask me, like, what is it that you recommend, find something you want to get involved in. And you don't have to be involved in everything, but find something to get involved in. And I was running a little nonprofit. We didn't have money. We couldn't sponsor things. We weren't doing 9 million, we weren't going to be your big title sponsors of anything, but we did have time and expertise. And so we volunteered a lot of that. And I volunteered a lot of my time and expertise on a lot of things. And that's where I made my connections. I learned a lot about what was going on. The maintenance committee is a lot of that. So I think 2000, I started working with the maintenance committee in about 2003, 4, I guess. And then in 2009, I became an official member of the maintenance committee. I was the first female on the maintenance committee, like official member. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then now, and I'm currently in the leadership track. So I'm a vice chair right now. But during my time, I think I did like 9 of the maintenance conferences. Wow. I don't know. It was either chair or co-chair of, I think, 9 conferences.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a lot, but it was a lot of fun. And it was a great way for me to give back to what was going on and to be able to be involved. And so that was where I gave a lot of my time and energy, and, and it paid back in dividends for me as far as professionally and personally. I mean, I call it like my work, I just call aviation as a whole my work family now.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily my direct coworker anymore. It's just kind of aviation as a whole is my work family.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy it. I'm currently Andy Keel with EJM is the chair, and Jim Elston with Coca-Cola Consolidated, who, big shout out to Jim. Jim is one of those people who's the director of maintenance, who is now the director of aviation. You're seeing more and more people making that transition.
Yeah.
So he's the secretary, and Greg Hamlink is a past chair, and Greg Hamlink was director of maintenance at Stryker, and he's now the director of aviation at Whirlpool. And then, of course, she went to advice at past chair as well. So, it's a lot of great company working with Stuart, Cameron, and the whole team at MBAA. And, we do a lot of workforce development. Brian Maloney's done a great job getting everybody kind of organized and hitting workforce development, outreach as much as we can. Scholarships. We have a very robust scholarship program. I don't remember how much we said. I don't know, $11-12 million worth of training we've probably given away over the years.
That's spectacular.
Yeah. When you look at the value of the training that's been donated over the years, easily. I think that was what our calculation was, roughly around there. And then, of course, we have the regulatory. I actually like that. Don't know a whole lot about it, but I like getting into we have a regulatory and operational compliance team. And that's a lot of fun. I like listening to what's going on, figuring out how to fix the problems, working with the FAA. People say I'm weird, and they're right.
That's okay. We need unique people like you to do those, because I have a feeling that would not be up my alley, regulatory stuff. That would probably...
Well, I listen to a lot of very smart people, Lindsay, and then I try to take what they say and then put it into practice. But no. I just, that's what I do. I listen to a lot of really, really smart people and ask a lot of questions. That's what I do with that. But I've been involved with that now for close to 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
In some form or fashion. My very first meeting with them was through NCAT in 2003. So,
nice.
Yep. I only remember that. That's the year my daughter was born. So that's how I essentially say my aviation career was the year my daughter was born.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
You had a lot going on that year then.
Oh my gosh. You and I were talking about it a little bit. You talk about what you get done, and, you have a spouse, you work full time, you have little children, you're going to school, you're doing this, you're doing that. And once you get a little older, you look back and you're like, God, how did I do that?
Right.
Thank goodness I don't have to do that again.
Right, exactly.
Now it's optional. Now it's optional now. Yeah, no, I don't have the energy. I know too much now. I was so young and dumb. I thought I could handle everything, and I did. Now I know better.
Right. Do not say yes. Although I have to say, I said it with a caveat, because a lot of times when I'm talking to people, we do talk about saying yes. If you want to get into more things, you say yes. You obviously said yes to some really key pieces.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. And, sometimes it is making that, you make a conscious decision to make volunteering and being active a part of your career development. And so, you make that conscious decision. And I made that conscious decision because I don't know if I really made a conscious decision, but I think I intrinsically knew that this was going to help me later on. This was something that the more I did here could pay dividends later. And I think I just kind of knew that. So now I can say it. Now I'm like, okay, looking back, yeah, absolutely. Being involved and volunteering was part of my career development plan. And finding an employer that does that and supports that is...
Well, you can't. So those of you listening, you can't necessarily see our video, but Lee has the coolest fluffy dog. What kind of dog is he? Like, he looks like the one from Nana and Peter Pan, kind of. The dog named Nana.
Yes, he's a Bernedoodle, Bernese Mountain Dog and Poodle, and his name is Maverick.
Oh,
a little over a year old. We just rescued him about a month ago.
He's
overall very well behaved, except evidently he wanted to chew on my Christmas tree.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I guess so. That's the first thing I've seen him actually kind of chew on, but whatever. He decided I'm his person. He stays stuck pretty much right here in the office beside me. Now so he's probably a good 75 pounds. So
he looks big.
I have the extremes on the doodles. We have the Bernedoodle, and then I have a Pomeranian Poodle mix. I call her a Pomapoo, and she only weighs 4 pounds.
Oh, you do.
So we definitely have the extremes, and they definitely keep us entertained.
That's awesome.
So
I love the office dogs. I think we totally need to have like a calendar of aviation office dogs or something.
Ooh.
That'd be kind of fun.
I think you could do that. Aviation office dogs.
Yeah.
I think we could. We could definitely submit that. Office dogs.
There we go. New project for us. 2024 calendar.
2024 calendar. Maybe just aviation office dogs. Maybe just do a post each month, and everybody submit your dogs, and then for 2025 we can go back. Like, where's your January Geishers?
Yeah. That's a great idea, actually. I love seeing them all.
Oh, I love all the animals. I love the dogs. Well, we're dog people. I like other people's cats.
Yep.
I even like other people's birds.
I haven't seen a bird. I have seen a bearded dragon.
Yes.
And I happen to have rabbits, so I know that's there. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, I think, is it Tampa? Tampa Airport? Flying through there and they have the dogs you can pet. They do say pet. They're not service dogs. There's Tampa. There's two other ones I can't remember, but they actually have like the dogs that roam around and it's their job to just love on people and you can pet them and love them. I think it's the best idea ever.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that would be, yes. That's a great idea.
Tampa was one of them, but then there was a couple of others that I wander in. I'm always get excited because I try very hard to respect the service dog best. It's very hard because I want to touch, I want to pet, I want to love.
Right.
But I respect the service dog best.
So cool. Yeah, no.
But yeah, that's little Maverick.
That's so cute. So cute. Well, sorry, I interrupted. I just wanted to tell our listeners all what the cute little guy that was behind you. Not little, sorry.
Yeah, I'll make sure I send you a picture.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. So we were talking about maintenance committee. I'm curious, you don't have to have numbers, but I assume it's grown over the past 20 years.
Well, it's grown. I think right now we probably have roughly, we probably have about 40 active members of the maintenance committee. We have a couple of subcommittees that have even more people. We have the connectivity subcommittee, which is, they probably have about 60 members, and of those 60 members, there's maybe about 10 who are also maintenance committee members. Workforce development has people that aren't necessarily maintenance committee members that are involved as well. So we have, you could probably say at any time we have our meetings are between 30 to 60 people, maybe a little bit more. We meet a couple of times a year and working, one of our big initiatives right now is working with the other groups in NBAA. It's like, you can work in a lane, but don't work in a silo. We do have our lanes, but the lanes merge, you get dotted lines, there's a lot of crossover everywhere. So we definitely we don't want to be redundant in our efforts, but we also know that sometimes, somebody, especially like when it comes to like regulations and operations, one, if you don't all talk, you may not know the unintended consequences of what's being done. And so, we definitely want to keep that at the forefront. And, with the RIAG group, which is the Regulatory Industry Advisory Group, I don't remember what it stands. It's the lawyers with NBAA. And there's different groups that we want to work with. Being very involved in the management guide is a big one. Definitely want to make sure that we're involved in there as well as any other initiatives that NBAA has going on. But obviously workforce, I think I said, is one of our biggest ones. Outreach, going out and being a resource for other outreach initiatives. Like there's a lot of aviation initiatives, but they don't always talk about business aviation. Yeah. And so we're trying to make those connections and then also talk to them about business aviation and business aviation maintenance.
That's right. Totally true. Right. We don't need to operate in silos. And, now I think about it, it kind of feels like we do. The scheduling group, we really are kind of siloed. we talk to other people, but I don't see a lot of that. That could be a very popular statement, but yeah.
Well, I think NBAA also has started to do a lot more cross-functional stuff. You take a lot of time building up your teams for what they do and what they're special, and it's great. But then there comes a time where we do need to, I forgot the environmental sustainability. That's part of the maintenance committee as well. So, but I think that it's easy to kind of get stuck, especially working with, you got a bunch of volunteers and, it's what's working, what's getting done. We all have great ideas, but we also have day jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So everybody's managing a lot of stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Also, just more stuff and more stuff. But yeah, so I do that, and I'm on the career growth group on Iowa, the International Aviation Association. I chair that with this great lady named Christiana Bricks from GE. So we're co-chairs of that group, and so I've been doing that for about a year and a half, 2 years now. It's a lot about the professional development side of what are those different skills you need to take yourself to the next level. So there's a lot about that, whether it's like negotiating, whether it's communication, whether it's reading financial sheets, it's a lot of that. And it covers all gamuts across the board in aviation. It's not specific for business aviation.
Okay.
IAWA.org. And they're working on, they don't have a whole lot of business aviation people in there. So I'm trying to work on that and get more of a little biz av representation in there. But so I've been doing that. And then I sit on the Tarrant County College. You know, they can't get rid of me if they tried. So I currently serve as the chair of their advisory committees for their maintenance and flight programs. And I'm just starting Texas Women's University, which is one of the oldest universities in Texas. It's in Denton. And they are actually starting a flight program. And so I've been asked to help put together an advisory committee, industry advisory committee for that one as well. Yeah, that one will be unique because, I mean, of course, all schools are pretty much co-ed now, but Texas Women's is really about, I think they're still about 90% female. So I see their flight program predominantly female-focused flight program. And so that'll be interesting to see how that goes together and how there's definitely a need for it. And they'll be working out of the airport there in Denton. So helping them put together that program.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Well, for those who are listening, I will make sure to put links to both of those groups down at the bottom in case you want to check them out. Well, Lee, thank you so much for our time.
No problem. Will you find me on LinkedIn?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You can always find me on LinkedIn.
Sounds good. Okay. So that's the best way. I'll put so LinkedIn, Lee Brewster, and then I'll put Iowa and then Texas Women's University as well in the notes on the bottom.
Yep. And TCC. Those are my big things that I do is like volunteering is NBAA, Iowa, and then of course TCC and now Texas Women's University. So those are kind of my big volunteer things.
That's awesome. What a great, all the time that you've put in towards aviation in general. And like you said before, not only have you volunteered, that's helped you in your career along the way as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I give a lot of credit to it. And, you know, a lot of the people wouldn't have known me if I wasn't volunteering and being active. I would have been very easy to stay in my little bubble and not done anything and then not have made myself available to new opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, and you're also very nice too. I think it's just wonderful talking to you. If you ever get a chance to meet Lee in person, definitely go chat with her because she's just a wonderful person to talk to.
Well,
great story.
Same thing, ditto. Same thing, ditto. Same thing, yeah, I agree.
That's so cool. Well, I would love to catch you again, maybe in a couple of months, because I want to see how that Texas Women's University goes. I think that's spectacular.
Absolutely. As soon as we get up and going, I will let you know and we'll be able to do an update.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you again, Lee, and enjoy the holidays because we are recording right before Christmas and New Year.
Yeah. Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. You too. Talk to you soon, Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes and check out our website for up-and-coming podcasts. This has been a production of the Business Aviation Collective, sponsored by LD Aviation.